All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. My name is Jim Everhart, and the members we have in attendance include Bruce Hess on my left, Frank Hollingsworth to my immediate left, Diane Tyson, my right, and Chris Kretchen to my immediate right. We also have Township Manager Ralph Hutchinson and Public Works Director Charles Stone. And our recording secretary is Steph. Okay. Okay. So let's I guess we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good. So has everyone read the minutes of the the July 27th meeting? Do I hear a motion to approve? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Public concerns and comments, and we don't have anybody on Zoom. Okay, okay. Public, no one from the public is here, so I guess we'll proceed to reports. Recreation?
No, fall ball should be starting up, I would imagine within the next week or so. But other than that, I haven't heard anything. No, I'm not sure.
Okay. Good. All right. And I guess we'll go to grounds, buildings and trails.
Everything's moving forward through the parks, getting late in the season now. We are working on budgets. I presented the design at the last meeting, and Troy's looking at still equipment, but we figured we'd throw that number out there for the budget purposes.
Okay.
No update on the Gibbons design at this point.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The Gibbons Park design, I don't have an update on that at this point.
Okay, okay. All right. Nothing else on grounds, buildings and trails. The regional recreation program update.
We have the agreement, which I guess we're going to discuss now for new business, old business.
Might as well do it. That's, I mean, that's the main thing we wait for anyway.
We're making progress, as you can see.
Yeah. We have something on paper.
And this is still, really the first draft, I would say, of what we're working on. There's still some things that have to be zeroed in on, especially more of the funding piece, but I think we've made some good progress in terms of the bulk of the agreement in terms of membership and meetings and voting and that type of thing.
Yeah. The differences don't seem that wildly. I mean, they don't seem that wildly different. I mean, I guess the one thing I like is that the $5 per resident going up $1 a year does provide an increased cash flow.
Well, we're not,
For them.
that hasn't been decided.
I know, but
that's
I
an
mean, whether you
option.
go
Yeah,
with
versus-
that one or the other one, that seems
Well, the other one has a little bit too, because you have to remember the
right.
first year, 100% of the salary of the
Right.
administrator will be paid, and then the second year drops down to 75. So both budgets kind of are built so that the sixth year isn't a complete
As much-
nosedive. That there's
disaster.
some,
Well, you don't want to
but by year 5, there should be some revenue generated too from programming to even further balance everything out. So we're still, that's to be determined of whether or not it will be a per capita or percentage or how that's going to be. And we haven't really discussed yet where and in kind, what's going to be considered in kind and not in kind. And so that's kind of where we're at with the late stages of the agreement, is zeroing in on all that. Well, no, we're not sure. We haven't. Well,
It's one of the options.
yeah, it's one of the options.
being looked at. So, yeah, I mean, we'd certainly appreciate any feedback the park board members have on, the various options that are in here for contributions, as well as the other provisions and how the agreement's structured, and whether you think it's
Now,
headed in the right direction, or we need to
I think
rethink.
it's incredibly fair. I mean, I like the fact that you build in some allowances for, if you need to clean up after an activity and the township needs to do it, it's not on the township's dime. It's, you could, that's kind of an it's an in-kind contribution. So I think, you know how it is. You're going to have, as you move forward, you're going to have other things that are going to come up. But I think you've anticipated, the obvious things, and I guess now it's just a question of what can the boards that are involved, what can they swallow? What are they gonna, which version are they gonna want? And so I would assume it's just a matter of the representatives on the steering committee going back to their boards and selling it to them.
Mhm.
And then, but I think it's incredibly fair, and I appreciate it. I was proud of the fact that East St. Peter Township stepped up as the kind of one to take to do some of the administration and stuff like that.
That hasn't been resolved. That is that is the way this was structured, and there are certainly reasons why she did it that way, but it's possible that that would be one of the other partners by the time we get through
True.
everything.
It would
But
seem that, I mean, the school district, they would certainly have even a lot more at their disposal than East St. Peter Township would, as far as, everything from, but the fact that East St. Peter Township is now on the document, I just thought it was
We
very
might be
good.
missing a page, actually,
Missing
now
two.
that I'm looking at it.
What'd you say?
I think there's,
Missed eight,
we're
nine.
missing page 8. Because it says or, and it doesn't really
Yeah.
give the second cash contribution option.
Yeah.
Because that should be on page 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're missing page 8.
We're missing 8 and 9.
Oh,
I printed it at home, so I wasn't paying attention.
Or at least mine's missing page 8 and 9.
Well, the ones that print out.
Okay.
oh, that's what
Yeah,
you
I
have
don't know. I
yours,
know,
huh?
because I know
what I
you
did.
were looking at that, so here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it.
so that said,
I did.
correct.
Yeah, I printed the thing off my printer at home.
Sure.
okay.
How many copies do we need?
Well, once again, it's all about what will.
Yeah.
What, it's all about. I didn't print it out. But
Yeah.
I didn't, but,
Mhm.
so, yeah, I mean, let's face it, it's all about what the boards are going to want to sign off on.
I thought it was pretty good first attempt.
Yeah. That's it too. It was under,
I think what Jim's referring to is some of the building rental type.
yeah, that's what
expectations
left
that,
to mind,
you know.
that's what I was thinking it was referring to.
Yeah, so if a particular organization rents, gym at the school, and the school needs to have extra custodial services come in
Oh, something.
to take care of that.
Well, maybe it would, I don't know.
Not, it would only be if it's a recreation
Right.
program. It wouldn't be
No,
from
no,
rentals.
no,
That's a
no,
that's
Yeah.
apples and oranges we're talking.
It's on page 6 right here, which is except the income shall not include the costs and expenses for janitorial services, cleanup or special property protection with respect to the specific event of the commission, which are incurred because of the commission's use of the property. And it's reimbursed by the commission. So the township would not be on the hook if the commission had an event at one of the facilities, one of our facilities, and there needed to be cleanup after.
Right, the commission would be,
Would reimburse.
would be
Reimburse.
responsible
yeah.
for that.
Thank you.
So is the 4-letter G, is that a little wiggle room in case West Earl decides to play?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how I read it, so, yeah,
It's open-ended enough that it leaves you options.
yeah. No, I said, I thought it was incredibly fair, seemed to anticipate everything I could think of and was flexible enough, but it still seems to me that the various elected members of the steering committee will have to go back and do the sales job back at the with their respective boards. So it's good.
Now, when the commission comes in here and starts working, the park rules and regulations, who sets them? Does the commission have president over the township, or the park board and the township still have the right to do what they're doing? Who's going to control that?
All the partners would still own and operate their own facilities. So
Park rules and stuff. Park rules, and they provide those and they would like to see them, or they're the one for the park board have to approve it.
all the recreation commission would be doing would be operating recreation programs at whatever facilities they.
Right.
Now, it may require that we amend or change some of our park rules because of program, it might limit what we're doing now, what our rules are now may severely limit the options that this director will have. So I would anticipate that we would have to go back. And I'm sure once we hire a park professional, one of the first things they will do is look at the rules and regulations for all 3 entities and make suggestions of how we can change those to make his or her job easier to program the parks. Right, we would be the ones that would recommend the changes, but I would anticipate we would have to make some changes in our current.
It would make sense that as many rules and regulations would sort of get in line across these different municipalities.
Right.
And as many as possible. at
Right.
least. Just
Let's
for
face it,
ease
the
of
one
management.
that is probably the most obvious is that we've talked about in the past has been the commercial activities. You know, right now, they would be enjoined from having them, but that might be something that they might want to look at, and it would require a change that we would have to recommend to the Board of Supervisors.
It's not something we can
Yep. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, yeah, if you don't, I mean, I guess at this point, you're not asking for us to recommend approval of it.
No,
but-
no, we're not at that
But we're
stage. I mean,
certainly-
we'd have to have a final which probably won't be till, well, I don't know, because we don't have meetings in November. Unless we would have to have a special meeting or something, or.
Yeah,
just-
the next meeting of the steering committee is the middle of September, before your September meeting. So it's possible that we'd come to your September meeting and say, this is what we want to propose and get your recommendation on. But hopefully no later than your October meeting.
Yeah. Well, we almost would have to keep the timeline that's in here.
Right.
Well, as I noted in the thing, I don't know whether everybody remembers, I will not be here in September, so you guys are on your own. But I will certainly, if you send me the draft agreement, I'll take a look at it, and I don't know whether I can't really vote in abstention, but I could probably, I don't know, would I be allowed to say, oh, here's what I'm thinking, here's what it looks good to me, or something like that?
Yeah, if you want to send us an email, based upon,
Yeah.
having looked at it, that can certainly be shared with everybody. As Chris says, there is Zoom, so.
There you
Oh,
go.
it's true, I could
You
do
could be,
Zoom.
you could be
couldn't
our first Zoom customer and.
I? Wow, that's true, I didn't think of that. That's true, okay, we'll have to consider that, okay, all right, that's good. Well, I have my computer with me, so that's good, it's something to consider. Okay, so yeah, is there anything else anybody wants to talk about regarding the recreation program?
Yeah, I would just say, as you have more time to review it and think about it, if there are questions or concerns that come up, feel free to email me, Diane, Charlie, Steph, anybody you want to share that, so that we can keep that in mind.
Yeah, especially if you can do it before September 14th, which
14th,
is when our next meeting is, so that we can get zeroed in on finalizing this.
One comment. Yeah, just a couple of maybe improve or maybe on the down person. On Eastern Peter Township website, you have one you can get on there, click on that little scan bar there, and get in. Take a look and stuff.
The survey. Well, that's it should be over now.
I have no idea how to do that stuff. A lot of people, you probably don't need a lot of. I got it on my phone. I like to work on my manual text there. I think we're going to come to very good. I haven't had the time to sit down and think about it and all that stuff. So probably a lot of people.
I think there was a link to it too, wasn't there? In addition to this scan, that was just on the, well, technically, I guess the survey's over. I mean, the
Yeah,
survey
it's
was supposed to be
pretty much-
over August 5th or whatever
Yeah.
was the last date. So that may be why, because she might have deactivated it because, we were collecting the, yeah. But that might be why you couldn't get on, is because I think it was supposed to end August 5th, I think is what I recall the date. Yeah, because it went out, we mailed a lot of the surveys out to business partners back in May. And then towards the end of June is when we kind of opened it up to anyone, really, the public. And then I think it went out in the early July newsletter here. But I think August 5th was the end of the closing date of it.
We actually got better response to it than I would have expected.
Yeah.
We got, it was like 115 responses, which wasn't bad for what we're trying to do. So. But sorry you weren't able to get on.
One extraneous comment that's probably goes back to point B there is that I was glad to see they're starting to move dirt on the trail of Walnut Street.
Yeah,
So there's piles of dirt behind the college there and the university, whatever you call it. So things are moving. Yeah, they're working.
They're working on both ends at this point. They've got a lot.
I saw on
Not
the
messing
Route
around.
30 part,
Mhm.
so that was cool.
Very nice. for doing that, but I didn't even do it without the, you know, that was my weird way of thinking. You wouldn't do it like the persistent apartments and better, I probably sort of, you might not have done like this. It's like, oh, but they're very nice that they did.
Yeah, no, the construction of the road is definitely helping deal with traffic that's going to be created by additional development. Yeah, that's true.
There's gonna be a lot of activity out there in the next couple months.
One last thought on the regional recreation program. I just want to say, I for one appreciate, and this is, to me, this is a huge leap forward. So I want to congratulate our representatives for persevering and moving that along and saying, hey, this is, I feel like we're coming down the home stretch now.
Me too.
Must be like, must be like watching paint dry for you guys, but yeah, I appreciate that. So, okay. Old business, and you said, Charlie, that you don't have anything more on that.
Nothing really. Working on budgets now. The number I get getting is what we're steering towards. Troy's still looking through stuff as course, as we gather more information, I'll bring to.
And Diane, I did appreciate that article you shared. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was long, but it was interesting. I thought it was a different perspective on playgrounds.
Yeah. And the only other thought I had that I would just challenge us to think about, and it's kind of a related topic and kind of not. I kind of feel like, how should I used to, in my mind, I used to think that we're kind of approaching these things as like smorgasbord playgrounds, as if every playground has to have a every park has to have a playground, and every park has to have a walking path, and every park has to have, whatever, a pavilion. And it occurs to me that that might not be in other words, I know I even kind of walk or start with that assumption, and everyone has to have a ball field and everyone has to have, and it's like, it's probably okay to say that this park is really most appropriate for whatever.
For nature.
Nature, there you go. For one, this park is a nature preserve, and maybe this one is, this is a perfect setup for ball fields. And I guess I just encourage us to think that way and say, so that we're not trying to solve every problem with every park, but maybe saying, taking the unique characteristics of that park and saying, what's the best use of this property, for the mix of things that we want, for the surrounding area, and I just want to throw that out there and challenge us to say, maybe we don't want to fall into the pattern of, everything's got to have a jungle gym and a swing and
Well, it's like the fast foodification of parkland.
yeah, and it's
Yeah,
like,
they all look alike, no matter where you go.
right, and it's like, if we can, I'd really like to just say, wow, what's the best use of this land? What's the best thing we can do here? And just really, and not that the parks study we had didn't do that a little bit, but I just encourage us to really challenge us to say, let's look at this, and let's be sometimes a little skeptical about, like, okay, just know that we have a tendency to lockstep and throw it's like going down the cafeteria line. Hey, here's your mashed potatoes and here's your peas and here's, whatever. So
I think Gibbons will take care of that problem
yeah,
because it
Well,
doesn't lend
that's-
itself to anything else.
that's right. It certainly does challenge you, doesn't it?
That has the
that's-
potential to be amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think along those same lines too, but you're talking about having events and all this stuff. If we're having events, we're gonna have a community park, what are you gonna do? People rent the pavilions, they're renting. solid, maybe taking another park like the undeveloped part of Florida Park and making that like an events area. Where you have events, you don't have maybe a theater or some kind of a stage, something like that, like places to do more those events and gatherings like that, maybe even because the community would be hard to do over there because it's busy all the time.
Yeah.
There somebody out to put something else in.
No, I think that's great. And that's exactly what I'm thinking about. That's a good example. You know, do we want, can we, you know, and I just encourage us to think that way. And I said, I know I was falling into that trap. And I just want to say, well, okay, so maybe it doesn't need a playground. Maybe, you know, Gibbons doesn't. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Let's talk. Let's negotiate. Okay. All right. Anything else for old business?
Ralph said that there's going to be a big police presence, and he requested a larger police presence at the park. Things like that, I think that was 2 months ago, you didn't hear it. No, because you said about that, maybe more police presence, I see police presence, parks and stuff.
You have not? You have not? Okay, I was the one that,
I did. I saw 2 police cars there yesterday,
Oh, wow.
and then I saw it last week when I was there. I saw,
I'm not sitting there looking for them.
I just happened when I'm there.
Yeah.
There was 2 there yesterday, and I think
I didn't see one.
last week there was one just drove through and left last week. So
Yeah.
I seen,
they're supposed to base it on the pavilion rental too. They're supposed to actually,
Oh, that's
if
true.
all the pavilions are rented out, they're actually supposed to get out on foot patrol and just show a presence because of the alcohol abuse that's been happening there and just the littering.
Things don't do later, not at all possible. Like, the bathroom, you never had.
Did you,
Another record, some people. they don't come for it, but sit down at the road. One night, said, you know, he was one down there, said, "Hey, you know, parks closed, you know, right, at dusk, it probably went to that. I suppose the fact is, I'm sure it wasn't good.
you say by the,
That's nice.
uh, okay, you did, okay.
I know that it was the last week I've been there. I mean, I go there around 8 o'clock and between 7:30 and 8:30 almost every night. And I can't believe the number of people who are still there. I mean, and they're with the kids playing in the playground. I mean, it's like, oh, yeah, yeah.
they put a chain across the entrance. So
Yeah. Yeah, if
Yeah,
ambulance service has to get in there or something, and there's a chain across, they're stuck.
yeah, I'd hate to see it come to that. Yeah, no, I'd hate to see that it come to that, but yeah.
And the other thing we talked about too is that cleanup day. Is there still a problem with Joe?
No, but I did discuss with Troy, I think Bruce sent us a picture
Yeah.
of the signs that hang in pavilions about no confetti, no water balloons and stuff, and Troy really took to them, so he was looking at budgets for like repair and maintenance to the parks to maybe purchase a couple signs to just hang at the pavilions to let people know, because they don't always look at the piece of paper that has all the rules and regs on. But if they see a small sign that says, you know, no confetti, no this, no that, no alcohol.
There's other parks doing stuff too. Some people charge $5. They charge $50 for the charging. The one thing, one part. Township. They don't, they have carry and carry out, which I don't think that's a problem. They have a thing on the agreement, sign that. There's statement of additional charges will be forwarded to the applicant at the one of the event. And the kind of receipt they go with one of the. And it was about 30 pictures or something there. So they can sign up for $60. Fine.
What that does do is that relieves the township of the requirement to pay, to charge and return a to make a refund or to record, like they don't have to post. That's at least.
It's a $25. No.
But yeah, I think I would, I think I'd like to consider that moving forward. I mean, I don't know, because I feel really bad for your people having to clean up all that crap. And it's demoralizing. It's insulting kind of, it's turning them into trash guys. And that's not right. I have more respect for the staff than that. And and we have better things for them to do. That's absolutely the case.
Lost time. Yeah, something.
Yeah. No, I That- so if we were going to do that, would we need to amend the ordinance? Or could we just ask have the supervisors authorize that, or does there need to be some formal action taken to enact that?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the rental rate structure, if that was adopted by resolution or how exactly that was done.
Forget.
But it'd be related to the pavilion rental arrangements. So if there'd need to be some sort of formal action associated with that to
Yeah.
change the way we're handling the.
I mean, the only thing I'm thinking about is if it needs to be a formal addition to the ordinance or something like that, do we need to, before obviously any effort is expended, do we need to see get the temperature of the Board of Supervisors for that?
Yeah, sure. We can do that. I think we've talked before about the challenges related to this, because we don't have somebody posted at the park
a kind of, we're putting the burden on them, if, you know, by charging them something like that. And if they say, well, we didn't do it and I'm not going to pay it, well, then, okay, they don't pay it. But when they come to rent again, we say, hey, you know, we have an outstanding amount due of $50 or whatever it is, or $100 or something like that. So we're not renting to you again until you pay that. You know, so there's just some,
You'd have to keep track of everybody's names. Out of how many rentals we do in a year.
yeah. Well, whatever I guess we would, you know, just suggest we're searching for solutions. And if you guys want to, Charles, you
After
can,
administrative
with us.
staff.
yeah. What do
be-
they think would work? What's the easiest way to work for them?
I can,
And, you know, it could be as simple as when you come and you rent, you write 2 checks, one for the rental and one for the deposit. And we'll tear up the one for the deposit if,
Or if you have a self-addressed stamp envelope with it, we mail.
yeah,
back
you
to
want it back, you'll get it back. If you want it torn up, we tear it up, whatever you want, we'll do that. But if you don't, you lose the deposit.
Is it all
So,
done by check or is it done by credit card? The payments.
checks primarily, I think. Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah,
you're gonna have the oddball situation where, you know, we go the next day like we normally do, and it's a mess. And so we cash the check. And they call in and say, hey, we never got our check back. It's like, well, it was a mess, you know, when we got there Monday morning. It's like, well, we left it spotless. We expected to get our check back.
yeah. Oh, let's face it. Yeah, I get it. There's going to be oddball situations, but you know, it could be the thing that we suggest you take pictures, you know, timestamped, take photos of the site, and you know, if you can prove it, great. You know, put the burden on them if we
Okay,
can.
we'll
Yeah,
give it
because
some thought.
we would like to, I guess what I'm hearing from the board is we'd like to support the staff and find a way to do that. And you know, so but we don't want to create another burden for them. We don't want to create something else for your clerical folks, but
Sort of a bigger sum.
how much? $100?
I think it has to be
yeah, enough to make it.
enough that somebody's gonna take it seriously, because like you said, if it's 25 or 50, it's like, huh,
That's
good,
right.
somebody's
Well,
cleaning.
rather
up
than
for 50
clean it up,
bucks, take my
we'll
money.
just do the,
Which may be an advantage to us, actually, in terms of, you know, that could be
It'd probably be
an
good to
advantage
know,
to us.
probably be good to know what the actual costs are for us. On
I was
cleanup.
just gonna say that it would be nice to know, when you consider staff time and everything like that, not just their hourly wages, but their total benefits package and the equipment and everything, like the overhead that's involved. You know, I'd say $100 is probably reasonable. You know, we want to
Yeah.
charge for at least an hour of their time. And, you know, you do the math and
Yeah.
you could get up to 75 pretty easily, so.
Yeah, if you don't, have to go later or something. Take the pictures like. I'm just looking for it on the 16th.
Trying not to get legalistic, but we're trying to encourage good citizenship.
Mhm.
Put it
And
that way.
compliance.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's,
But I like the way you put it, Bruce, you know, yes, it's,
there's always going to be some jerk that takes advantage of the system and,
yeah,
oh, well, let's not punish the rest
Just
for the,
extreme circumstances,
for those.
it would be for everybody. If somebody needs a couple cups on the floor. You know, something.
right.
Right.
Somebody- that either would have been- There are some people that are very conscientious.
yeah. And I don't, by the way, I've been to the Manham Township part of this. And I don't like that whole thing of, you have to take it. I think that's,
Absolutely.
well, and I think you're asking for, you're asking for trouble. You know, It's like, you're just saying, well, there's no trash cans here. Well, we don't have trash because we don't have trash cans. Well, it's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
That's why that's the place. That's why they go to this dollar.
Yeah.
Trash.
Okay, we'll give it some thought.
What
Come up with
what
some.
exactly are you thinking about? To do what, $100 for,
An offense, basically, it's $100.
and what about what Bruce was saying, which also made a lot of sense? To just give a rebate if they do clean up.
Good citizenship.
Good citizenship is, give that as
A good
reward.
citizenship reward.
Yeah.
Reward, it's probably gonna be more effective than punishing. He's right with that. So
Well,
maybe
I think,
another suggestion for future consideration.
I think that's what we were saying is, how can they do it from an administrative standpoint
Exactly,
that's most effective? But I said, I appreciate the positive.
It's just
Right, but
semantics,
Use that as
basically.
semantics, it's everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate
you
the
frame it.
positive.
How you frame it.
Yeah.
Use that, well, so it's- Raise it $100 higher, then if they clean it up, give them $100 back.
Yeah.
And they'll be really happy with that.
Your cleanup bonus,
Cleanup bonus.
your citizenship, your good citizenship bonus.
Prove
There
that
you
you
go.
Leave it better than you
Yeah.
found it.
Yeah, hey. And yeah, some people will really do well with that. You're right. You're right. I agree with you. Yeah.
Process, somebody. It's not just. Figure that out.
Good question to ask the administrators.
Just a couple ideas.
Okay. And I guess did we need to do anything about the rates, or did we?
Well, I
lose
think
out?
just with inflation general, we should look at some kind of a boost for next year. I mean, I don't, how much? I don't know, but I mean, wages are going up. Everything's going up, so I think I don't see how we could hold the line. So it's a question of how much. It's not if we should. I think we should. It's just how much should we?
There are wages going up here. And increase like the workers. Are you
Yes.
saying a substantial increase.
What do you consider substantial? I mean,
3 to 6%.
Probably not gonna be that much, but that's,
Maybe figure out the higher cost of the park usage. Figure it out and how much increase to.
Yeah, just stick up the gas to mow the lawn.
That's
From my-
Yeah, no, but it was up all year.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
hasn't gone down to where it was. Yeah, I mean, the other thing I think you ought to keep in mind is that we haven't reached the point where the fees are keeping people from renting.
Correct.
They are renting.
And
So,
we're in the middle of the pack of surrounding area. We're not the lowest, we're not the highest. So we have,
you did raise the fees a good substantial amount last year.
Yeah, we did.
From
yeah, they
my,
had been raised for, we let a couple years go where we didn't raise them either.
from my experience in the rec business a long time ago, you're better off to take small incremental increases every year than you are to wait and then take a big one later, because people
That makes sense.
respond very badly to large ones taken in.
Like
5 year.
taxes.
Yeah, you're better to take small incremental increases yearly than you are to
That
take a
makes
big
sense.
bite every 3 to 5.
Yeah, and I remember several years ago, I said almost what you said, which is I said, do we have a responsibility to the township to charge at least an appropriate amount? It's like, do we are we derelict in our duty, if you will, if we're not charging, if we're giving it away? And I just throw that out there, but I don't know. Does anybody have a sense? Want to throw a proposal out there?
By looking through these things, we're different, like, A lot more people. Non-residents. Double.
And then a lot of places too charge extra for use of the baseball fields or the volleyball. And like, that's in addition, it doesn't come with your pavilion rental. So that would be also something else that we could look at is we want to throw in another $25 charge if they want to use the softball field.
With the volleyball.
Yeah, or, what other, because that's pretty common in a lot of other parks too, that it's extra, your amenities, you're paying for every amenity that you're going to use.
So does anybody want to throw something out there?
Well, do we really want to, are we trying to make a profit? Or are we just trying to?
We don't make a profit.
No, but if you're gonna keep raising, do you want to just cover expenses? By small increases each year? To match whatever cost of living or whatever. it costs.
There isn't a park anywhere that covers expenses.
No. You're just preventing the gap from being large.
From becoming a chasm.
Yes,
right,
exactly. To the point where people say, well, we don't need that anymore. Right.
That's something. Yeah, you might have to make-
Probably be,
Yeah.
probably be good to have what we're doing now thing in front of us before we start making proposals about
Okay.
where we want to go.
So why don't we, we can just have the rates for examination. That basically, to your point, we have the next 2 meetings to do that. But of course, the supervisors will have to act on it, I guess, before the first of the year. Is that right, Hutch? So they have to, but
Yeah,
that's not
that's
a big
when-
deal for them, I guess.
No, we've got time.
Yeah. Okay.
So you would like a rental sheet then to see what we did last year compared to this year again?
Yeah, and also, and just a sheet that has what's the going rate for each pavilion and how does
Yeah,
that?
what are our current charges for?
Yeah.
And what are the cost increases? for
Yeah, I mean-
gas and-
Pavilions aren't charged different. It's all one residential or non-residential.
Diane, do you have access to the fees that's surrounding?
I think just go on their websites.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's some places too that like County Park and I think Manheim Township, their rates are based on occupancy or the capacity of different venues. So right now, we're one size fits all, even though some of our pavilions are bigger than others. But they're all fairly comparable though, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not wildly different.
Yeah, they're not wildly, where I think in other places, like one might be only hold 40 people versus 150. So the 150 is charged a lot more. So that's something that we, I don't know if we need to look at that or not, like look at capacity versus just a
you-
one size fits all.
So you give me a project to look up other websites and see what I can see.
Okay, good. So we'll look for that next time and we can talk that through and we'll be good. Okay. All right. All right. So is there, let me see, was there anything else? That was we went through, that was old business and new business, I guess, a little bit. Is there anything, anybody have any new business? Okay, and public comment? Still don't have anybody stuff on, okay. All right. So, anything else? Okay,
Sharon,
second,
Second.
all in favor?